Smith, paranormal investigator of the Pacific Northwest, and it takes place here on the Olympic Peninsula, and it's all about local myths and legends. I'm really grateful to be here, guys.
Nice.
Cool.
Good time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, what's going on? Hey, JD, how are you, man?
I'm good.
Good. My name is Dan Price. I am the co-writer and artist on the project Bigfoot Knows Karate. We are doing Chapter 3 right now. It's Chapter 3, Hellhound on My Trail. And I'm going to be here tonight with Chris Saloff from Homebrew Comics, and just excited to be here. Thanks so much. I've got a campaign starting May 14th.
Way to be.
All right.
Hey,
Hey, how you doing, Chris?
good.
Hey.
Thanks for having me. So, my name's Chris. I am the creator, artist, writer, everything for the comic book Crit, Constantly Running Into Trouble. Going to Kickstarter April 30th with our 9th issue. He who would be king, and I am representing Homebrew Comics here with Dan. So, thanks for having us.
All right, very nice, very nice. All right, cool. Good to have you guys. Just give me a second. I'm trying to just get into my account here. All right, so everybody's seen the show questions. So let's get down to business.
There's a show question?
There always is. There always is. So, I know you've been gone for 4 weeks, but you know the rest of us.
Let me know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Tell me you got to prep for something like this, brother.
Mr.
You know,
Permit
don't just bring me in blindly.
That's all right. That's all right. You're good at ad-libbing. So what would be a better system of distribution for indie comics that you think or feel that would work best for you in your situation? Because everybody's different, right? So I'm just looking to hear what you think from your perspective. What would be best for you? Okay. I mean, Chris, you're in the hot seat.
Oh,
You're
all right,
the
so
part that I always start at, so.
well, I mean, we have to, before really saying like what's the best for indie comics, you have to look at what the challenges are for indie comics, and the challenges are really the printing cost that we face, because we don't do runs of thousands to get those big price discounts. We don't get the big printer pricing, for instance. So indie comics flourishes right now because of Kickstarter, because of crowdfunding, because of Amazon, those outlets that we are blessed with. If I was going to say the best route would be to go the old way that they did with Ninja Turtles, which is find local stores that can really build your fan base.
Mhm.
And you start off with a small collective of comic book stores that are local to you, so you save on shipping. It's almost like a direct to consumer, but you're using the comic book store as a third party. I think that would be your best way, because then you can build sales numbers, proof of value, and grow from there. I do think that some indie comics creators jump the gun a little bit and want to go straight to these big publishing companies and these big distributors, not realizing that the cost that's involved in being on those distributors and the upfront issues that you're going to run into on your first order. So, I always say start small and work out from there. So, again, I think best route would be a small group of local stores, or even stores that you can get direct shipped from your printer.
All right, that's fair. Madeline, what are your thoughts?
I agree completely with Chris. I primarily do direct marketing through Kickstarter and through my website and Comic Cons. And I have worked with a publisher. I'm kind of a hybrid, and both have worked out reasonably well. I like Chris's idea of going and focusing on local comic book stores that are open to indie comics. I have done that in the past. I haven't done that in a long time, mainly because it's a huge time suck. And I've gone to many comic book stores who look at me cross-eyed when I say indie comic, because they and I get it. They know who their clients are. I mean, they understand their customers, and they want primarily the big two or big three. and they don't have a lot of shelf space. So I get it. And it takes a lot of time and research to find the comic book stores there that are open to indie comics and are willing to take a chance.
All right, that's fair. Cammy, what are your thoughts?
So it's kind of interesting because I don't actually have a lot of experience distributing my own comics because I've only ever done work for other people typically, and they're the ones who distribute the work. So I had done a little bit of research, and I had actually found a like online like direct comic distribution like website, which I thought was interesting because it looks like stores and retailers and all that can buy printed comics directly from writers and artists, which I thought was kind of interesting. Otherwise, for me, I think Webtoons is a huge thing for some of my stuff as far as like distribution. It's a little bit of a different format, but I do like the accessibility of Webtoons overall. Otherwise, those are my thoughts on that matter.
Okay, that's fair. Dan, what are you thinking? Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, no. Hey everyone. All right. So what am I thinking? I'm thinking that okay, so I used to do comics back from like 2007 to about 2014. And then I took a long break and I came back around, 2021, I put out my first comic again. And the world has changed a lot, pandemic aside. I mean, it was all conventions, just conventions is all I could do. Maybe some store signings early on to get the word out. So when I came back and did my first Kickstarter, man, what a game changer that was to me. I mean, that really was, because it was a distribution model in a sense that allowed me to get my books out all over the world. I mean, I got orders from South Korea and Ireland and Australia and all sorts of weird places. And so that was just such a game changer for me right off the bat. And then, but still, I mean, to this day, getting your work out there any way you can, doing store signings, doing conventions, all that stuff is so fantastic. But I mean, it's really hard to get your books out there to stores. So I am excited about some of the cool stuff that's going to happen now that things have kind of exploded distribution wise, and seeing how it's all going to shape up. So to get my foot in the door, I was excited just to be on Kickstarter and get that moving, because I reached so many different audiences that I never could before that. It was great.
Oh, cool. Randy, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking I probably need to shut my phone off right now. But anyway, everybody's suggestions here are great. I can't. With the direct market, the best thing to do is to try to get your book out there in as many places as you can. And that does include locally. And you do have to find those comic shops that like independent and alternative comics and want to make a buck, and treat them as well as you can. Store signings are great like that. Little one-day shows are excellent, to try to get the marketing out to the populace. But again, it's one-on-one, and you're not really moving a lot of product. I just want to be read. I'd like to be distributed out there wherever anybody's going to be able to pick me up. And I've looked at different formats and played with different sizes and things. And that newspaper idea that I had, that I ran 100 issues locally doing a comic newspaper that was advertiser supported. It's a pretty decent format, but I don't know. Like I said, the direct market right now, I see there's a lot of different distributors that are trying to start up to move independent product, and that's a great thing. I hope that everybody's successful and they get more indies out there, because they can really help the retailer. I retailed for a decade at a comic shop and know that side of the business pretty well. And they can use all the help they can get.
All right, cool. Jay, what are you thinking? You're muted.
You're
bro.
muted.
You're muted.
Blah 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 blah. Yeah, I
Exactly.
came out strong too. I didn't fumble. Shit. Yeah, distribution I think doesn't matter unless people know about your book, right? Awareness is the key. Awareness is the first step, right? This is not that movie. If you build it, they will come. But because we've built a lot, and they're not knocking down our door for the books that we're making.
Mhm.
I think instead of distribution systems, people should be looking into, marketing places. There used to be Superfan Promotions. They haven't posted in a long time. The email is down. The website is down. But they used to do marketing for independent books. They used to do marketing for crowdfunding campaigns. We need more stuff like that, right? We're spending a ton of plates, right? We're a small business unto ourselves. Whether this is a hobby or not, right? We're still running a business, because if not, you're going to lose your shirt. You're going to lose your shirt quickly. But with a budget set up for marketing expense, if there's a marketing group that can handle crowdfunding campaigns, well, I'd pay into something like that, right? And then awareness generates about the books that I'm making, and then I can worry about sell-through at a store for something like distribution. Did I make any sense, or I just
Yeah.
I ad-libbed and I got a little bit of a margarita in me? So I'm feeling off the
That
cuff.
sounded good to me.
Can I
I
say
know we
that's
can
that's
drink on this
why
show.
that's why I really hope the indie and alternative distributors pick up, and that there actually is at least 3 or 4 of them out there that are incredibly successful, and
I don't know,
finding
brother.
retail stores that are interested in carrying and making money off of that kind of product. One of the
Well,
greatest things marketing wise back in the 80s when we were doing comics, and that's how old I am and been in the business. But the biggest things, we had a couple dozen distributors back then that were moving our product, and they were moving a lot of it. And a lot of that came from the distributor helping us market, because the distributor wants to make money as well as us.
Mhm.
And that does come in very handy. I miss the days of Capital City that used to list the books that month they thought were really the indie books and alternative books that were really going to be hot. And they used to do that.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be a great thing for us. So
And also, we have Diamond with the previous catalog, but I believe a single page ad in there is somewhere between $800 and $1,200. I haven't looked in a long time, but that was the last time I looked. It was
Yeah.
somewhere.
I'm
somewhere
sure
in
it's
that
gone up
vicinity.
since then. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Randy and Jay, and that awareness is critical. Because even being at a con, when I get people over to the table and I say like, "Hey, have you heard of Boston Metaphysical Society?" And they'll go like, "Well, I think." Because I've been around now for like a decade. They were like, "Yeah," and so that at least makes them stop and listen to the pitch.
Yeah.
And gives them pause, and I'll just say like, "Oh, well, let me refresh your memory," and we go into it, and yes or no, but at least that starts off the conversation that like, yeah, I think I've seen this around, or something about this seems familiar, and I'm pretty sure I don't do any advertising, so I think that's just being on Kickstarter and doing a gazillion cons, so that helps.
That's
No.
your marketing, right? That's what you do.
Marketing,
You're doing your
absolutely.
legwork. You're grinding it out. And I don't know how many conventions I go to, and I see independent creators without a newsletter sign-up sheet at their table.
Oh, that kills me.
That
That
is
makes me nuts when I see that. I'm going like, no, you must have this. Have marketing material, have bookmarks, have a postcard, have something that has your name and your socials on it.
And a QR code. I mean, just a simple QR code that just takes you to your link tree or your homepage or somewhere they can get to your Kickstarter campaign.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been working in marketing, graphic design, advertising for the last 25 years of my life, and when I don't see, what hurts me the most is when I see comic creators sitting behind their table reading. and not standing up and talking. Okay, it's like I get where when you're the guys who are doing artwork and the ladies who are doing the artwork and stuff, and they got to sit down and work. Okay, cool. But those of us who are peddling our books, we stand, we rise to the occasion. We come in swinging with our axe and our shield. Okay, I mean you got it's a battle out there, guys, and it's indie comics. We all love each other. We don't look at each other as competition, but you gotta at least stand up and say, "Hey, here I am," because nobody comes to that convention looking for you. You know, you got to make them want to know you by the time they leave.
Oh yeah,
So,
it's showtime. It's
100%.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm naturally an introvert. I just want to hide and go right and not be with the world. But when I'm at a con, I am at a con, and I am all there in 110%.
Gotta
And
change modes.
oh yeah, you switch, and then people want to like, well, let's go eat or to the bar afterwards. Like, no, I'm going back to my hotel room, have my tea and my cookie, and I'm HBO. We're done. Showtime's over.
Dan, I don't stand anymore though, brother.
No.
I bring a collapsible guitar stool, so it looks like I'm standing. Okay, and it's high enough, it keeps me up.
Right.
You know, and I could travel with it easily, brother. And the part where you bring a flap down to hold your guitar, that's my kickstand, right? I'm resting on that, baby.
See, yeah, no, you got to do what you got to do. Like I can recently moved over to wearing like Hoka's, the sneakers, because you can stand all day long and not.
Oh God, the Hoka's! I was just talking about
kitchen
those.
mat.
Yeah,
kitchen mat. You bring a kitchen mat. I
the
stand
kitchen
on
mat's awesome, except I fly too often and it's too heavy to bring along with you.
You cut it in half.
Okay.
You slip it in the outside of your luggage.
Yeah.
I do this a lot.
Okay. Now there you go. All right. Thank you.
And alcohol.
Awesome.
Alcohol works better than a leave for your feet. You're gonna forget about the pain in your feet, and you're gonna be able to sleep quicker when you hit your bed at the end of the night.
There you go.
Mm.
Yeah, I found that also collaborating with local events to put on like little like I did a local screening here in my hometown. I had a gentleman who did a documentary on the Lady of the Lake. And so him and I had put together a little event in conjunction with our Comic-Con here and screened the documentary in conjunction with the launch of my Kickstarter. So I think trying to involve your community is also a huge part of that marketing too.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Nice.
All right, Jay. I agree with everyone, so I don't have nothing to say. So I'm good. Jay, you're up.
All right, Madeline brought up a point that I want to jump on. When we're at the convention, and she also sees people that don't have a newsletter sign up sheet and XYZ. So when you're doing a convention, for those who do, and you see a rookie or somebody who's been around the block a few times, not capitalizing on opportunities that they should, do you extend that olive branch? Do you say, hey, maybe XYZ, or do you leave it alone?
I can answer that. It depends on the vibes that you're getting from the person. Usually, if it's another woman, no problem. We can talk, not an issue. With some guys, it falls under the category of it depends.
Okay.
You got to test the vibes in the water, and if they're willing to listen to you, and you just go from there.
Okay, I like that.
All right. Camry, what are your thoughts on the question?
On which one exactly?
Oh, on Jay's. So Jay, can you repeat your question, please?
I don't know. That was off the cuff, baby. We're lucky we got one out.
You were asking about whether or not you extend the olive branch.
Yes.
For giving advice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it depends. I would agree with Madeline because I used to do a lot of bigger conventions. I did like Emerald City Comic Con and Rose City and a variety of other Portland and Seattle based ones. And there's just too many people. I do make friends with my neighbors, and we exchange advice. I think because we were talking about standing up and engaging with your customers, and that was probably one of the more powerful pieces of advice that I've received from another vendor who was doing very well across from me. I think when I go to smaller conventions, it's a lot easier to share advice, and most of the time I make really good friends with the people at smaller conventions, and we are definitely more oriented around helping each other and learning how to market each other. So yeah, I think that also plays a role in that.
Yeah.
Cool. Dan, what are your thoughts?
Oh, I kind of look at it like this. When I first started doing comics, I didn't know anybody else was doing comics, and so it was kind of like learning as I was going. And then you pick up a lot of stuff, and then you learn from people and all of that. So most of the time, when I see somebody who's like at a convention who's like tripping and falling or not, could use a little help here or there, I have no problem saying, especially if they ask. I mean, because I was watching them the whole time anyway, going, oh, that needs to be fixed and you need to do that. But I'm not saying a word. And they say, you've done a few of these. Do you have anything you want to say? I'm like, okay, get out a piece of paper and a pen. Let's go. I mean, because I will. And it's whether I like them or I don't, I want to see them successful. You know what I mean? Like, because it doesn't hurt to be nice. I understand vibes completely. And if somebody's a real prick, I get it. I don't want to deal with a prick either. You know what I mean? But,
Yeah.
Look, I want to see everybody have a fighting chance at this because it's not easy. It's not easy. I went to my first convention. It was Staple here in Austin 20 years ago, 2007. And I went to my first convention and I had 100 comics. That's all I had. I didn't have a tablecloth. I didn't have a bowl of candy. I didn't have a this or that business card. I had 100 comics. I didn't know what I was doing. Anyway, it was a long story. I'd tell the rest of the story, but it'd be boring. But you get my point. You got to help. You got to help people out.
All right,
Brad,
cool.
very much.
Chris, what are your thoughts on it?
Oh, I have lots of thoughts. So when it comes to like cons and building, using for marketing, and like Dan said, you just can't stand there. My first con that I ever did, I met up with Dennis Valencia, who is part of Homebrew now, as well as Jerry, who's in the chat, and a buddy of ours, Jason. We all met up at this very small con, and I had never done one before. That day, we just sat there and just talked to every single person that went by the table. And you got to treat it like if you have a trade show, or if you're in music, it's if you ever played a festival, you're sitting there trying to get someone's attention. You got 15 seconds. If you're staring at your iPad drawing, or if you're on a tablet, like paper and pen drawing, or if you're just scrolling on your phone, no one's going to care about what you got in front of you. You could put business cards, you could put your QR code, you could put anything you want on the table, and no one's going to pay attention. Hell, I even have a stuffed animal of one of our characters and energy drinks, and people will walk by if I'm not trying to get their attention. You are the face of your company. You are the first impression that person has. You are the last impression that person has. I've been to cons with Dan. I've been to cons with a lot of guys in the chat, and I'll see an awesome comic book across the way from me. I'll go talk to that person, and I'll immediately be turned off and be like, I don't even care what your book looks like, So you've got to put that sales thing on. Like Dan said, we want to see us all succeed, because if one indie comic succeeds, they all do. And we go back into the distribution way of it. If you've got a bunch of indie creators trying to get into distribution into stores want consistency. They want multiple issues. And the reason we as indie creators get so much pushback from retail is because people before us failed. People before us gave up. People before us didn't get past their issue 2 or 3. And so that shelf space that has cost those retailers time and money to put us there gets burned. And you burn enough of them enough times, and they no longer want indie. That's why I think, Madeline, you said indie was a cuss word, and it's because that takes time and money and for these stores to put us up there. And maybe you're not the one that's gonna not finish your story, but they don't know that.
Yeah.
And so I look at cons like this. Cons is where you cut your teeth. I worked in distribution. I was a professional musician for 6 years. And you always got to cut your teeth somewhere, because you're not just going to put out your first book and be the most famous person in the world. That's just not how it works. You've got to really get yourself out there, build that fan base, and get used to promoting your product. And there's nothing better than trying to promote your product to a random person walking by a table. I can get on Instagram Live and I can talk to my phone and see little names all day long. And that isn't intimidating. Okay. For most people, that's not intimidating. And I understand sometimes, being on social media and having your face out there can be, it can cause some social anxiety. I see people, with different ways of getting on social media and promoting, and that's fine. You can do that all day long, but if you can't do it face to face, you're probably not going to be able to sell a book in a store. And I think these cons, when you're able to get that face to face time and you're able to get that community involvement, that's where we got to thrive. That's where we got to build that base. And like I said, that's where you got to really cut your teeth to become an indie creator worthy of actually getting into a store. And I do think that we think as creators, we deserve to be on a shelf. Okay, just because we put a book out, we feel like, hey, I want that shelf space. I deserve that shelf space because I made this book. I spent 3,000 hours making a comic book. I deserve that. We don't unless people want to buy our books. People don't want to buy our books unless they know about it. I could rant. I'm sorry. I'm going to shut up.
No, that's fair.
Real quick on that, when I did comics a long time ago and I came back, and man, let me tell you something else about something that changed a lot with social media. Because when I first started doing comics, MySpace was the thing, to put it in perspective for you. Yes.
I love MySpace.
Randy was in comics in the 80s. Get off my back. Come on. Randy was in comics in the 80s. So no, I'm just messing with you, Randy.
I like MySpace. Yeah.
But yeah, see, MySpace was cool. You had your own music when you got on the page. You had your own boom, boom. It was great. I loved it.
Dan, would I be on your top 8?
You would be on my top.
Okay, then we're fine.
Yeah, you'd be in there somewhere, top 11 or something. You'd be there. No, this is hilarious. So, no, Instagram was such a game changer for me. I couldn't believe. I am old, Jerry. I know. Instagram was such a game changer for me because I met so many people in indie comics just on Instagram alone, finding your people, your group, just people that you can bounce stuff off of and learn so much from. I'll throw Chris as an example. He's in my top 8. I'll throw him as an example. He has we met over Instagram and we connected so well. We ended up doing a live launch at our campaigns at the same time on Instagram Live. Yes. And that was really effective. Chris had been doing live launches for his campaigns previously. I picked up that bad habit from him. Thank you for that, Chris, because live launches rock. And we ended up doing one together, and we had built it up so much and got so many people, aware of what we were going to do. This night, this time, we're going to press the button, come on Instagram and watch us do it. We had over 250 people, 230 people watch us do our Instagram Live that night. Nice. We both funded our projects in 15 minutes. Sweet. So the power of social media, man, it really can work. And so that's like a rinse and repeat for us now at this point when it comes to not the funding in 15 minutes, but doing the live launches, and trying to replicate what we do there, because it's been a really good way to get your book, not just get your book launched and funded and all that stuff, but to just get people aware of what you're doing with your project. Just because people really get excited, they get to see what you're doing. Other creators get into what you're doing and promote your stuff via stories and all of that. I know a lot of people are on Twitter. I don't understand Twitter. I never have. I don't understand, but I understand the visual concept of Instagram and how it works. So that's just been really good for me. So if you're not using it, give it a shot.
Yeah, I wouldn't waste your time on Twitter anymore. Anyway,
no. I always thought it was a cesspool, and it never seemed to get any better. I'll put it like that.
Yeah.
I just didn't like the term Twitter, and like growing up, my dad always called me a twit when I was being dumb. So I actually, on my timeline for Facebook, it said I won't use Twitter because I don't want to be a twit. And so, yeah, I just can't use it. Like, I think Instagram, we're talking about visual medium, and, yes, Twitter is more of a visual medium now because of changes they've made, but Instagram's been a place for photography, art, and stuff since its inception. And so I think it's a better home for what we do. That's just me personally, but I started on Instagram, and I can't even use Facebook half the time for this stuff.
All right, cool. Randy, what are you thinking?
Back to Jay's question.
Yes.
If I know the person and I think they can take advice, I will give it. Every chance I will, me, any chance, you just got to get me started and I can go. So, at the latest show, I was right between a couple of young artists and got to know them real well. And, we exchanged numbers and contacts and all that. And I've made some of the best lifelong friends at shows when there's no customers around, just by talking to fellow publishers. So,
Randy, you're a treasure trove of information, brother.
like I said, you just get me started and I'll run just like one of those wind-up toys.
Yep. All right. Cool. For myself, I mean, usually what I'm doing is, I'm working usually a 2-person team. So it's usually Daphne sitting at the table, me walking around. For one reason or another. At one time I was a print broker, so I did a lot of going out there and basically just offering my services to a lot of people. But like Randy and like Cammy was saying, one of the biggest parts of being at a convention is meeting the people who sit next to your right and to your left, and you sit down and you talk to them, and those are the people you usually get to bond with, right? Because you're there usually, fighting the fight for 3 days or 4 days, and you're there and you're just like really, really hammering it. But you get to sit down, you get to talk to them, you get to watch their table for them or whenever they need to take a bathroom break. And those are the people that you can really bond with. And if you can see an opportunity where maybe they have something that you see where you can give them some advice that would benefit them, then of course I would share that. But it's not even just that. It's a two-way street, because sometimes they have advice that I can benefit from. You understand? So it's an exchange of information that we're trying to go through, right? Because I know a lot of stuff. I don't know everything though. So that's my answer.
I think every con is a learning opportunity.
Oh yeah.
Right.
It's one of the few times too that us creators actually get out from our cave and go out into the real air and around real people. It's completely different than doing a podcast and talking over the camera.
Absolutely.
That's true.
So Jay, answer your question.
What was the question?
I don't know.
That was your question.
Figure it out. It was your question.
Listen, Philip's in the chat. He knows. He saw me at New York Comic Con last year. I go with the team. They're running the table. I'm walking around. I'm doing the networking. I'm giving out shots. I'm getting people to come back to the table, and then once they're back in the table, I try to lock in information with them. Right. That's when I solidify our relationship, and they get to see what's different on my booth, and I got to see what was different on theirs. And if they ask the question, yes, I will open up, those lines of information. But if not, I mean, how many times have I seen people that I told, put a newsletter sign up sheet on your table and they still don't have it? So sometimes I'm tired of wasting my breath, I mean, like the same people over and over and over again. And they always try to build a better mousetrap, the next time I see them. And the only person they're catching in that mousetrap is themselves. The newsletter is the easiest thing that you can do. It's the most cost-effective thing that you can do. And it's the one that's going to bring you the most value later on. And I don't know why they don't. So.
Their choice.
Yeah.
That's
Their
true.
choice.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, we all have our swords to bear, and so does Morgana. Madeline, do you want me to play this video?
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
Hi, My name is Madeline Holly Rosing. Many of you know me from my steampunk supernatural series, Boston Metaphysical Society. But today, I'm here to introduce you to my brand new 4-issue miniseries, Morgana Pendragon. Loosely based on the legend of King Arthur, this story focuses on Morgana, King Arthur's sister, who, having lost her magic when she fled England 20 years ago, leads a mercenary team wherever the best paycheck is. All that changes when she receives a message to return. Her brother, King Arthur, is dying. Now she must not only face Mordred, the child she left behind, but a new threat which may forever change her and the future of her country. This Kickstarter is to print the first issue with cover art by Rio Burton, interiors by Alden Kay, colors by Warnia Sahadewa, and letters by Troy Pateri. The story is 26 pages in a 32-page book, which means, you guessed it, lots of extras. And there's more. We'll have a limited variant cover by Roberta Ingranata in both standard and metal covers. And Alden has created the most gorgeous metal bookmarks, which will be available in a few reward tiers as well as add-ons. The best part is the comic is being lettered and should be ready to go to the printer by the end of the campaign. So please be sure to check out all of our reward tiers and pledge today. Thank you in advance for your support.
All right, cool. Very nice. All right, so Madeline, walk us through this.
Okay. We've got 11 days left. We're fully funded and heading towards our third stretch goal. What you're seeing there is the Getty. That's a new add-on bookmark of Getty. Will be a metal bookmark, and as we scroll down, that's obviously that's our main cover by Rio Burton, and you'll get some more interior art as you scroll down. We've got some great reward tiers, which we'll get to in a bit. And since this is a new series, I wanted to break down the characters a little bit for everybody. What a lot of people don't realize that even during medieval times, there was a lot of movement across the world, specifically through the Silk Road, which was multiple roads, not just one. So we have characters from all over the world. So it gives little bios on them, and that's our variant cover from Roberta Ingranata. And yeah, you can get a digital for $6 to get you started. Obviously, all the early birds are gone at this point. But yeah, you can get the physical copy of issue 1 plus the PDF for $15. And everything includes domestic shipping, unless you do some of the add-ons. Some of the add-ons do require some additional shipping charges, depending on the weight and the size, because I have to change packaging. And for those who don't know us and want to get a taste of Boston Metaphysical, you can get digital versions of those included. And we also have a retailer package. And I also have prose in the Boston Metaphysical universe. So if people want a lot of reading material, they can get the comics in prose digital. And we have a physical starter kit that gets you issue 1 of Morgana, the novel Storm of Secrets, and the special edition of volume 1 of Boston Metaphysical. And then we have the very pretty metal covers, which also includes a regular standard copy. So if you like to collect your metals, you can put the metal away and then you can read the other one. Plus you get the PDF. The premium digital package includes pretty much everything, including our audio drama.
Cool.
So those are obviously, people who are new to me and want to get more stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff, but there's a lot of good stuff.
So yeah, and you can add on if you wanted to just get a basic package and add on a metal cover, you can, or add on any of the metal bookmarks, or if you prefer hardcovers, you can get the hardcovers and actual CD or flash drive of the audio drama.
Oh, nice.
So lots of fun stuff. And fun story about Alden. I had been looking for an artist for a while, and obviously there's a lot of tremendously good artists out there, but I had an idea of what I wanted. And I was at Rose City talking to David Walker, and he said he had met this guy who really liked, can I send him over to my table? And I said, sure. So Alden stopped by and showed me his portfolio. Turns out he's won the Mad Cave talent search. And the art he showed me, what really made me pick him was that he drew women that looked like women. They were short, fat, small, all different sizes, and they weren't hypersexualized. And that's the kind of look I wanted. So I brought him on board, and he's done a tremendous job.
All right, cool. Now, obviously, this is the first issue. Is this a limited series ongoing? How are you looking at
This is going to be a 4-issue miniseries to start. And depending on how well we do, might get another series. Hopefully, yes.
Yes. I don't think you have a problem. Your book's always great.
So yeah, I'm very pleased with how well we're doing with the backer count we have for a brand new series. And there's so many things that are distracting in the world right now. I'll put it that way. That it's doing just fine. I'm very, very pleased.
All right, cool. You got another 11 days. You're already funded.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll probably all you just need is more so you can get the second one out. Now, what type of schedule are you looking at? Quarterly, biannually?
It really depends on me and my Boston Metaphysical schedule. Alden's ready to go. I'm almost done with issue 2 of Morgana, and then it goes to an editor. I mean, he's ready to start whenever I'm ready. And the one hiccup here is that I'm probably going to be moving at the end of the summer.
Oh, gotcha.
So we'll see what happens this fall. I mean, because I'm also working on Boston Metaphysical and finishing the last 2 issues of Pikes Peak.
Mm-hmm.
And I really want to get that on Kickstarter to get that out to people, because they've been waiting a long time. I mean, it's not anybody's fault. I don't know if you remember, I had unfortunately had to fire the artist the original artist on Pikes Peak. And I brought Danny Rivera on board, and she's been fabulous, and she's been cranking it out, but there's just a lot of work to do. So, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Well, listen, everybody, go buy a book. This is an awesome book, Morgana Pendragon.
And the link is in the show notes and in the chat. So,
Yes. All right, very good, very good. Thank you for putting that up there, Jay.
yes.
That video was awesome, by the way.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah.
All
That
right.
made me feel very excited about the story.
Oh yeah.
I like the female take on the Arthur legend. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, and also it's older female. She's in her 40s.
Oh,
And
that's awesome.
yeah, we've never seen Morgana in her 40s. You know, this is way after Camelot. Life is very, very different. And yeah, we don't see a lot of middle-aged women who have their own agency and stories, period. So that's where I wanted to go.
Well, I really appreciate that, Madeline. That's really cool.
Thank you.
All right, cool. Well, talking about Camry, here we go. Do you want me to play the video?
Yeah, sure.
Cool.
That's cute. What's it called?
May? May? Where are you? Joey. Joey. Joey, where are you? Joey, where'd you go?
All right, cool. Very nice.
So first off, I should definitely mention that this is a relaunch because I had launched this project last year with an $8,000 goal, which I feel like was probably a little lofty for my first graphic novel. So I'm starting over this year. I launched this Kickstarter in conjunction with a local Comic-Con that I work with called SquatchCon. And so I halved the goal because last year we did about 4,600, I think. So I'm trying to push to get around the same amount. So yeah, this is definitely a project, a passion project. This area that I live in is absolutely gorgeous. I live on the Olympic Peninsula in Washington State. And there's a lot of local myths and legends and just absolutely gorgeous places. And so this comic takes place here. And it's heavily based around Sasquatch and Lady of the Lake and Native American legends. George is just a journalist who starts out at the local newspaper and meets Hank, who's a Clallam native, whose brother actually disappeared in the woods a long time ago. And George thinks that Hank is just kind of this crazy guy in the woods who believes in Sasquatch. But when his daughter goes missing, suddenly that narrative changes. And so these guys team up in order to find out what's happening and save their loved ones. So that's the basis of this. I trimmed down the rewards because I had a lot of different things last year. I had like keychains and t-shirts. But this year I slimmed it down and I have a Kickstarter exclusive sticker. But most of the other things are just personal commissions and just names in the book. So yeah, I simplified it, and what I'm really trying to do is just get it to print so I have it in hand. But I really love this comic and I've worked really hard on it, and there is a free preview on Webtoons that anybody can go and take a look at as well. So
All right, cool. So you see, so this is a one shot.
the story, yeah, I mean, I have the complete story in hand. Right now, I only have the first 32 pages done of the full thing, but I'm also I just want to have the first book out so that I am able to have it with me at conventions, and so I can kind of sell people on it. So that's what this Kickstarter is about.
Gotcha. Now, for the I guess for the future, we're looking at it like, is it going to be? Are you going to continue this? Like, are you going to do an issue 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I don't have a page count in mind currently, but I mean, I imagine it will be probably around 100 to 200 pages overall. So yeah, because the story is done, it's all figured out. The timeline is in there, and I have scripts. It's just a matter of trying to get the excitement going for the story itself.
Right. Okay, cool. I mean, look, you're an incredible artist. I mean, stuff's really, really nice.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I worked very hard on this because for the most part, my career has been oriented around doing comics for other people. I've worked with Russell Noelty at Wannabe Press. I've worked with some webtoon creators. I work with Bad Bug Media out of West Virginia. And a lot of indie comic creators around the globe. But this one is kind of the culmination of all of my everything that I've learned and everything that I've worked for, put into my own IP, because I really want to get into that part of indie comics is my own IP.
All right, cool. Russell Noelty is a really cool dude. I know he has a huge mailing list. Bother him. Have him private campaign.
Yeah.
Have him bother. He's a really cool dude, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Russell's very nice.
Yeah. So yeah, just get on his case. Well, hey man, I need some help.
Absolutely.
But he's a really cool dude. I mean, it's a great looking book. I mean, you have another 19 days to go. You're almost halfway there. I mean, you have to hustle a little bit, but I think you're gonna make it. I don't think you're gonna have an issue making it.
Yeah, and I've got another event that I'll be going to, and I have a few other podcasts that I'll be appearing on as well. So,
okay, cool. I mean, it looks like a great book. Thank you so much. I mean, this, yeah, everybody, again, another great book. Go out there.
Thank you so much.
You know, very nice. All right. So let's see. All right. Ooh.
Oh, I see. Someone in the chat, JG, said they love Boston Metaphysical, and I just want to say thank you.
Oh, there you go.
Thank you, JG.
Madeline, I want to say thank you for adding that while Calderon was trying to figure out how to segue to the next campaign. You know what I mean?
I'm not even going to segue. Dan, tell us about your book.
Hey, all right. No, my comic is called Bigfoot Knows Karate. It's by Homebrew Comics. It's a book I created. I write with Casey Allen, and I do the artwork, colors, letters, all that stuff. The book itself is about a gentle yet deadly cryptid warrior who lives in a world where anyone can be the hunter and anyone can be the prey at any given time. In the first issue, he's forced into battle with Kung Fu Thulu in the Ultimate Monster Showdown. So we like to think of it as Godzilla versus Kong meets Kill Bill with a twist. The book goes further off the rails from there. You got characters like Chupacabra with a shotgun, Thermonucleodon, who's a kaiju with missiles growing straight out of him. And there's, and then a bunny rabbit. Frankly, there's just this bunny rabbit who's just been hanging out since issue 1, and he's in for the ride. So we're doing the campaign is about chapters 1 through 3. So this is pieces from chapter 3 right here. Just a couple of panels and some pages for y'all to check out. But the story is about a Bigfoot on the run, and he goes from being completely out in the middle of nowhere all to himself. And if you were the only one of your kind and the only one of your species, and nobody knew you existed and nobody cared, what would that do to you? What would that do to your psyche and your soul? And by the way, you're a Bigfoot that knows karate. And so that's kind of like the crux of the story. He goes from being completely off and isolated to being hunted down by this mysterious group, this mysterious cabal, who take him, who actually are able to take him and hold him for quite a while in issue 2. So, the story picks up right where we left off. But if you're into action adventure, psychological thriller, you like kaijus, cryptids, if you're into Mothmen and creatures of lore, you name it, it's all in here. It's all in here, and we love. I'm a big fan of like stories like X-Files and Lost, where you've got a lot of questions being thrown out at you, and so that has been for the first couple of issues. We really got your mind moving a lot in that regard, and so I'm glad to be able to say in chapter 3 we're answering some questions for those of you who have been asking about why is this, why is that. Don't ask me why he knows karate. I'm not willing to tell you all that yet. I promise one day you'll learn. I swear to God. But there's a lot of things you can do with a Bigfoot that does karate. I mean, that sounds kind of goofy, but like there's so many different. If you were the only kind, the only one of your kind ever, you're the Bigfoot. The same guy who is the Hinagon in Japan or the Sasquatch in Canada. Through different times, every culture has this myth of a Bigfoot. Well, what if it's just all the same Bigfoot that's been running around for centuries? And so he gets to go to feudal Japan and have adventures, and he gets to be in the modern timeline and so much more. So, yeah, that's kind of these are some of our covers that we have right here for the campaign. Mine's on the top left there for the regular edition cover. The top right is by Louise Thomas. It's our holofoil cover that we're doing, and then 2 deluxe edition covers down below by Ghost Hausa and Adam Caswell. The thing about the deluxe editions that are really cool is that we do the same exact story. It's a 38-page story for this issue. And we include an art gallery. We've been really fortunate to receive over 200 plus pieces of fan art for Bigfoot Knows Karate. And so we always take some really great artwork and put it in the back of the deluxe editions. This time, a lot of the artwork is coming from the Odd Contenders drawing group from Instagram, a great group of our artists who always are doing some great stuff. So they've been really supportive of the book in the past. And so they're contributing a large amount of the artwork for this issue. And then also the deluxe edition also features, y'all remember director's commentaries on DVDs?
Yeah.
Our deluxe editions have a QR code, and in that QR code, you click on that, and it takes you to our director's commentary for our comic book. So it's going to have 3 to 5 people talking about the book ad nauseum for about an hour or 2. So if you're into those special features, that's what our deluxe editions do. So yeah.
All right, cool. Now you're up to issue 3. Do you have like how many issues are in the first arc? Are they single stories? Is it one big arc? What are we looking at as far as the story goes?
So we're doing chapter 3 right now. This is actually the 4th book because we're doing side stories as well. One shot comics. The last one was Bigfoot Knows Karate Inagon that we just put out recently, and then we have another one coming up after chapter 3 called Bigfoot Knows Karate God Killer. So the main arc is 5 issues. And so we're doing chapter 3 right now, and then we'll continue to do some side books because we found that people really like them, and it gives us more of an opportunity to peel back the onion on the character. One of the things I used to love about Wolverine is you knew nothing about Wolverine, and now everybody knows everything about Wolverine. He's got like 1 million children, and he's got a name, and all these things. But when you didn't know anything about him, the intrigue was high, right? And so what's cool about the side stories is we're able to show this slice of time in this character's life and just peel back just a little bit more and more without just hey, my name's Tim and I sell insurance, but by night I fight crime. You know what I'm saying? It's like just something, just give it time to let it breathe.
All right, cool. I mean, listen. And here's the other big question: when are you thinking you're going to launch?
May 14th, 7 p.m.
Okay, there you go. So sign up. You got 115 backers. It was 115 followers. So that's pretty good. So yeah, man, everybody go watch Bigfoot and go back it when it comes out. Very nice.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I remember I got a copy from you at Baltimore Comic-Con last year.
Baltimore Comic-Con a couple of years ago. Yeah.
I remember enjoying that. That was really fun.
Awesome, man. I'm glad you enjoyed it. That means a lot. Yeah, I felt bad when we met because you had said to me, you were supposed to be on my show. And I'm like, man, I know. He told me that was the first time and I missed the thing. And there was I couldn't make it and the word did not get to him properly. And I was like, ah, shit, I've got to make it on the show tonight. Like for hell or high water, JD, tonight, I was going to make it on the show. I was going to make sure. And like, so that stuck in my head this whole time years later. I'm like, I've got to be here tonight. Like,
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, dude, no. I was embarrassed that day, and I was like, "Yeah, no, here, take a comic, please. Be cool. Don't hit me." So
no, never. All right. Besides, you probably know karate, so why would I hit you?
Yeah, right.
Chris, we're looking at Crip. What do we got here, man?
Chris, you're muted, buddy.
Chris, you're muted.
Sorry. This is the 9th issue of Crit. Issue 8, I have a issue 0. I constantly kick myself in the tail for that. But it's also the 5-year anniversary of Homebrewed and Crit. So we're bringing some awesome stuff to the table with this issue. Being that it's our 5th year anniversary, I took the time this year and recolored issue 1. So we remastered that, and I remastered the end of issue 5. So those 2 will be part of this campaign as well. And in this issue of Crit, it's titled He Who Would Be King. It brings in some history of the universe that Crit resides in and goes into some of the story of King Arthur. Well, the King Arthur in our story. So we've got some awesome covers in here from some great artists. This, for those of you that aren't familiar with Crit, it's really just like a story about well, I guess I should start off by saying everything in Crit is written using Dungeons and Dragons. So my friends and I in 2018 got together, and we hadn't played D&D in like 10 years. And one of the things we always wanted to do was play superhero D&D. But it was, balancing Dungeons and Dragons with superheroes is very hard because you always want to be the most powerful. Your character is the best. And so I grounded it. Took the idea that all the classes in Dungeons and Dragons, they're not special because in that world, everybody can be a rogue or a cleric or one of those the classes. So I stripped it and made a modern version where these characters are the only ones with those abilities, making them superheroes. It also gave us the ability to grow these characters. So, they start off very low level, similar to like, my idea was like Superman when he first came out could jump, not fly. Iceman was a snowball. He wasn't this master of everything with, ice and water. And so that was kind of like my premise. Well, we played one session of the game and everyone had so much fun. I wound up just starting to draw some of what we did. And I had no idea how to draw comic books or anything, but I just wanted to do it for my friends. And it was this big snowball effect that brought us to where we are now, 5 years later, releasing the 9th issue of the comic. We've done quite a bit. Like I said earlier, energy drinks, stuffed animals, action figures. And this year is no different. We're bringing in some really awesome stuff with this, this issue of Crit. Like I said, some remasters, the wraparound cover that's up top, just pushing the envelope a little bit more. So if you think of like what Crit is, I like to explain it as it's The Other Guys meets My Hero Academia meets Police Academy. It's a lot of tongue-in-cheek humor. It's got some, it has some anime and manga elements because most of my players are into anime and manga, so their characters kind of reflect that. And it's just a bunch of guys having fun playing D&D. So that's what you see. Everything's pre-recorded. I go in after when I'm starting a book and I listen to the recording and I sketch it all and I storyboard it and turn it into the comic that you read. So everything in the book's determined by the dice. And this is no different. So, it launches April 30th and we've got some cool things me and Dan and the rest of the guys are going to be doing for it. On this one, I do have some custom shot whiskey glasses that I'm going to be putting in there.
Nice.
Aside from covers, bookmarks, I always do a metal cover I do deluxe editions, and if you scroll down, you can see some of the cover art for the book. Well, it should be there. Let me see.
Yeah, no, hold on, I'll refresh it, but I didn't see it.
Let me see.
Oh, there you go.
Is it there?
Yep.
There we go. So there is one cover that I have not unveiled yet. My colorist, Lewis, who also did a cover for Bigfoot Knows Karate, he is working on a cover right now, which will be the 6th cover. Normally I don't do, the 5th cover. Normally I don't do 5 covers. I'm doing a 5th cover this one because it is our 5-year anniversary. So you've got every story or every cover does tell a different part of the story of Arthur that will be kind of unveiled in this book. And I don't want to go into too much because most of Crit is creating questions and answering them, and this book does no different. We answer some things and create lots of questions, but I personally have been waiting so long to bring in the Arthurian part of Crit. When it first started, I would tell people like, hey, it's really just a modern Arthurian tale, and you can't tell because Arthur's not even a part of it. But now I can really start to bring some of those elements in, and I'm excited.
All right, cool. Now, how many people are in your group?
I have 5 players plus me. So we have a six-person group. We've been playing now for 7 years straight.
All right, cool.
Hey,
Now,
Chris.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Sorry, Chris. Mention the coupon, dude.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Dan.
I forgot. So you got to do it now.
I had a 4-hour drive before I jumped on this, and I'm still letting that caffeine kick in. So Homebrewed Comics this year, for the 5-year anniversary of Homebrewed, I was blessed with being able to also relaunch the brand and bring in Drew and Dan and Dennis into the fold of Homebrewed. And so this year, what we're doing, since we have these back-to-back campaigns, because I launch April 30th, then Dan launches in May, and in June we're launching our 3rd title, which is Caspian Porter versus Celestial Knight. Every campaign that you back, you'll get a coupon. So for Homebrewed 0, and we're kind of taking a page in the playbook from Image Comics. When they launched, you'd get all these different titles, and you'd get a coupon that you'd mail in, and you spend like $10, and you'd get a copy of Image 0 with some exclusive content. We're doing something very similar, where each one of us is contributing stories that include characters, like side stories from within our universes. And we also have, actually, Mo, great that you're stopped on this cover. The artist right there, Mo Lubison, is also contributing a 6-page story to this. So backers of each campaign in your book, you'll have a coupon with a 3-digit code. And once you get all 3 campaigns backed, you'll get those books in. You take that coupon, you'll collect all 9 numbers. You go to our website, you type that in, and then you can go in and purchase issue 0, which will only be available on our website. And like I said, the stories in there won't be published anywhere else, just in Homebrewed 0. And it's our way of doing kind of like a throwback and getting people also excited about checking out all 3. And the good news is, if you say you get in and you miss Crit 0 or Crit, my campaign, on Dan's campaign when he launches, you will be able to add as a add-on, Crit if you missed it, so you can get that coupon. And then when the 3rd campaign launches, if you missed Crit or Bigfoot, you can go in and add both, either one, both, or if you missed one of them, and that way you can get all 3 of the coupon codes and get your copy of Homebrewed 0.
Oh, very nice, very nice.
Cool.
Yeah, that's a good way to cross promote. I like it.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
one thing we're doing this year, since we are the topic is distribution, and Phil is in the chat. He's been talking a little bit. So we have signed with Philbo. Phil has a distribution company that he started to help indie comic creators. It's kind of a big deal. He's done a lot of work on it. He's got a lot of comic book shops that are ready to purchase from all of us. We're launching 4th quarter. So, if you do see Phil in there, talk to him if you've got a book that you're looking to get into stores, because he's going to, really hit the ground running with this, and we're excited to be part of it.
All right, very nice. Yeah, I'll probably have Probably have to have him on at some point just to talk about it. All right.
Hear that?
Cool.
Hear that, Phil?
Well, Phil's been on the show before. I'll get him on again. He's a cool dude. I did a one-on-one interview with him one time. All right. So for Crit, you're up to issue 8 now. This particular story arc, is it you see it going? Is it an ongoing series, or get another 3 issues in the arc? Like, what are we looking at?
Yeah. I have 42 issues written, and I'm only on. This is the 9th. So I've got a lot of work ahead of me. I just hit 41 last year. I'll be 42 this year. So I've, hopefully I can get this done my goal is to have everything done in 10 to 15 years.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. You're stuck with it. If you don't like it, sorry. I do.
Now issue 42 is the ending.
Yes.
You have it written. Okay. All right. Cool. I like that.
Yeah. Everything's already done. We concluded the campaign. We actually started a new one.
Okay.
And really, I've just got to get some other artists to start working on some stuff. I've got 2 that we've already discussed getting in for next year. So, and the goal is to get 4 issues a year. If I can get to that, hey, we'll be good.
Okay. Very nice. All right. Very nice. I like it. You said this is this one April 30th?
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Launches April 30th.
All right. So everybody go, back this campaign when it comes out. It looks awesome.
Thank you.
All right. And real quick, I'm going to show the campaign I'm a part of. It's called Tenchi Muyo. It's about a graphic. All right. I'll just play the video.
Hello there, Tenchi fans. Patria Burchard here, the voice of Ryoko, with an exciting announcement. Armature Entertainment is launching a Kickstarter campaign to reintroduce the 1997 Tenchi Muyo comics to readers old and new. For those unaware, Tenchi Muyo started out as an OVA series or direct-to-video release in Japan in 1992. From there, it became popular the world over for its mixing of sci-fi, comedy, romance, and, of course, zany adventures. When it became popular in America, these comics were made to try to appeal directly to American comic fans. This release, Tenchi Muyo, the American Tenchi Continuity Omnibus Edition, combines all 6 issues of the storyline Ryo Oki's Day, created by artist Matt Lunsford and writer J.D. Calderon, into one complete collection. This story features all of your favorite Tenchi characters, including Ryoko, of course, but also Mihoshi's dedicated partner Kiyone, as well as Nagi, Kenoki, and a myriad of other characters, all drawn in a style that's both a throwback and a fresh take on Tenchi Muyo as it used to be. Want to know the really cool part? If this campaign is successful enough, Armature Entertainment can continue the adventures of the Tenchi Gang. But now, that's up to you. The carnival comes and goes. Well, it's finally back. So, don't miss it. Thank you all for supporting Armature Entertainment and Tenchi Muyo. Until next time.
All right, cool. This just launched yesterday, so this is for a comic book series that I wrote in the 90s. And it's insane to see it like this, because I thought this series was done and over with, because the company that produced it I originally worked for Pioneer. It was P Anime at the time, and it was Pioneer Entertainment. And I was hired by them along with the artist Matt Lunsford. They contracted us to do 6 issues. We did the 6 issues. It was very successful, very well received at the time. And something happened. Someone ran off with a bunch of money. So the second series they wanted us to do, because they wanted to hire us for another 18 issues. The person ran off with a bunch of money, and they said, okay, the budget's gone for that. So they had to stop it. My only regret ever of the series was that we never got a compilation of it. We never had a trade. It was 1997. Trades really didn't become really popular until about a year or two later, which was kind of like one of those things for me. And I had always wanted to see it in trade. So I had gotten interviewed by these guys like 4 years ago from Armature Entertainment. And I had mentioned that to them, and they are massive Tenchi fans. I've only ever seen Tenchi Universe, the section that this is based on, but there's a whole series of there's movies, TV shows, there's light novels, there's other manga, and we just did it, and I just had a great time with it. So, but once I saw they wanted to do it, I was like, okay, so let's talk, and we sat down and we had a conversation about it, and Matt and I both got on it. I've been helping them out. And we got 28 days to go. We're 53% to goal. They're trying to raise $50,000. And there you go. And that's pretty much it. So go check it out. It's a lot of fun, especially if you like anime and manga and Tenchi Muyo and that stuff. You know,
You're almost there, though.
Cool.
You're halfway there, brother.
we're halfway there. Yeah. I don't think they're gonna have an issue. Making the goal. I think we're gonna get there because it is a huge fan base. Like I talked to people like when I got the job, I didn't know what Tenchi Muyo was. Okay, they just handed me a rack of VHS tapes, and they were like, and it was 24 episodes, and I watched them over the course of 2 days. I wrote 2 synopsises that I submitted to the editors. They picked the one they like, which was Ryoki's Day, which is the 6 issue limited series that's running now, and they were like, okay, and we did it. But at that point, I didn't even know what it was. But their fans, like I had a guy on last weekend. Actually, Marcus was on, and he was like, "Oh man, like I was a huge Tenchi fan when I was younger." This other guy was like, "I listen to the music all the time," and I was like, "Okay." And there's still fans out there who really, really enjoy the series. And it seems that portion of the story, Tenchi Universe, is the most beloved in America. Or at least that's what they keep telling me. So I'm like,
Very
okay.
cool.
So it's a lot of fun. Anyway, Randy,
Yes.
You're up.
What?
You're up. Your question, sir.
Oh, my question. Duh,
Yes.
let me think for a minute. No, I was thinking if you had an unlimited budget,
Mm-hmm.
how would you market your book in order to get the most readers?
Ah, interesting. Camry, you're up.
Oh boy. Man, if I had an unlimited budget, I would just make my comic into an animated series. Honestly. Other than that, I'm not sure. I would love to do collabs with big celebrities or like anime or manga people that I look up to. Otherwise, yeah, I think that's where I would go with that for sure.
All right, cool. Dan, what are your thoughts?
Super Bowl lad. You know what? Why not? I mean, as long as we're going big, right? It's Super Bowl lad. No, if I could do anything, I mean, I like what Camry said about doing an animation. That's always been my dream to see Bigfoot Knows Karate as an animation, but just to get people on to reading the comic itself. No, I'm going with Super Bowl lad. I'm going to stand by that one. That's my answer. That's my hard answer, because I mean, really, what else can I do? I mean, we can buy Facebook ads and we can, do this, that, and the other. I mean, probably make a really kick-ass animated trailer. I mean, yeah, Camry, you and me, fist bump. There you go. And I've seen some people do some amazing animated trailers. Like the one that Camry had was awesome for hers. Jerry E4 Comics in the chat, he does some amazing animated trailers from his campaign. So, I mean, whatever grabs people's attention, right? For sure.
All right, cool.
Like that.
Chris, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, when Crit 5 does or 8 launches, I do have an animated opening in the essence of the X-Men from the 90s, the intro that will be on there. I've got it in production now with a buddy of mine, Aries. So that's been one thing I've wanted for a long time. And this year I came into a little bit of cash and paid someone to do it. So I'm really stoked about that. Nothing's better than spending a whole ton of money on a hobby, but that's fine. I think if I was to do something like one ad that I'd want to do, geez, that's a Super Bowl ad's a big one, Dan. You know what? I want a we talk about billboards and things like that. I always pictured being on a bus, and like somewhere like New York City or San Francisco, or even like over in Japan where they actually do read books. I think that'd be kind of cool to see Crit like wrapped around a bus, or hell, maybe one day I'll just wrap my entire car in Crit, and I'll be a driving billboard.
Mhm.
That whole Times Square thing happening.
Yep.
You have the sign next to Cup of Noodles and the Marlboro Man or whatever.
I mean, yeah,
These
I
days,
can
I have
put
no
her
idea.
down. I've never thought about like a dream ad for that thing. I don't know.
Although, you could just, that's a terrible idea. I was going to say you could take the money and just throw it at Wizard Magazine. They'll give you a great article, great cover, great spread, the whole thing, and just really wrap it up. That'd be amazing. Sorry.
If Wizard
Chris
Magazine
brought
was
us
still
back
thing.
from the dead. Buy his book.
Absolutely.
Gave us $50,000 just to do this. He's great.
Wizard. Loved Wizard.
There you go.
Nice. Madeline, what are your thoughts?
I'd hire staff to do that.
That's why she's the
Exactly right.
I would hire professional. I used to be a marketing director back in the day. So I would hire an upgraded version of me who was more fluent in social media, in all aspects of social media and social media advertising, and say, go. Here's your budget, go.
Mhm.
And I'll be there to approve it. And that's it. Nothing like having staff.
I love that. I love that.
Yep.
All right, Jay, you're up.
All right. The best answer was taken with the animated series. I love that. Right.
Mhm.
But there's two things, right? So I got a background. One of my past lives was as a beer salesman. So we would do activations in bodegas and supermarkets, corner stores and bars. So I would take the experience that I have in that background and do an activation, a big launch in a store where we have, I'm sorry, ladies, some eye candy to entice some of the neckbeard people to come in and buy our books. But also have people there dressed up in costumes so they can take pictures with the regular customers, stuff like that. Have free promos, giveaways, a la the Green Lantern ring. So some of our characters have accessories that we could do something with. But along the lines of the animated series thing, I would love to do a free-to-play video game. All right. A side scroller, something simple where just tap, mash them up on your phone that I can get kids to play. Again, free to play, but the endings of the game, it's either the cut scenes, the deleted scenes, or the bridge from issue to issue as the ending. So each new character would bring another bridge between issues 2 and 3, 3 and 4, 4 and 5, to keep them constantly going in the game, and hopefully that would bring them over to the core product, right? Because the repetition of the game is going to just ingrain the book in their mind. And everybody's playing video games. I'm sorry, folks, right? I talked to my niece and my nephew, and they're playing Marvel Rivals. They're not buying Marvel books, but they're playing Marvel Rivals, right? And they know about Galactus, and they know about all these characters. I'm like, oh, did you read the book? Like, no, I just played the game. I was like, oh, okay, right. But I also got to bond with them while they were playing the game, so it was a great bridge. Also, sorry, a nice game. A nice, simple side-scrolling game that anybody can play, and it's not age-restricted.
All right, that's fair.
I like that idea too.
Yeah.
I think Camry had it right. I would definitely do an anime, especially if we had an unlimited budget.
Yeah.
I would like to do 52. I guess the series of 52 every week. Release
wow.
an episode about 30 minutes, and have it simulcast, I guess, on TV somewhere, and then also on the Sphere in Las Vegas. For
Yeah,
yeah. Could you imagine that? Have it
that'd be
simulcast.
cool. That'd be very cool.
That'd be great.
Yep. So that if, like I said, if that budget was unlimited, I'd be like, well, if I'm gonna blow it, I'm gonna blow it there.
There you go.
Yeah. So Randy, what are your thoughts?
Well, I definitely would get that team that Madeline was talking about.
Oh,
Absolutely. And
you'll need a publicist. Yeah.
I got a lot of ideas that I just want to push out. It'll be more than that. Marketers and creators and animators and just everything, And I have the rule, don't bother me. I'm just here creating, and I'll just ship it out to you, and then you take it and make money.
You'd have the George Lucas signature stamp. Just whenever stuff comes,
That would
by,
be funny.
okay,
Yeah, that
approved,
like
yes,
that,
yes,
like
yes,
that Disney
yes.
signature.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there you go.
yeah, with the swirls. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. I got a business question for everybody. I mean, I don't know. There are times I have to sign contracts, so I'm just curious. And there's always particular things I keep my eye out for. So when you read a contract, what is the single key point that you look for? And just give me one example, because there are several, obviously. But I mean, what's the one key thing you look out for specifically on a contract whenever you get one presented to you? I think we're up to Dan.
Media rights. First thing. That's the first thing I'm looking at is somebody trying to get media rights for my IP.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's fair. Chris, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've signed like 9 contracts in my time, and the ones that really turn me off are ones that take away the rights that I have. I was actually presented a contract when I was like 17, 18 for in my band by Universal, and one thing that made us not sign was we could not even play our own music for 7 years after the contract was signed. So if we broke up,
Wow.
they had a 7-year time period. I couldn't play a birthday party. I couldn't do anything with my own music for that long.
Crazy.
And so that when I look at anything, I look for, am I keeping the rights to what I've created? I think that as an independent creator, that's just something we need to protect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I certainly agree with Chris that first thing is I retain the rights to the IP. And also another thing that they're not attached to everything after that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Very nice. Camry, what are your thoughts?
I think typically the contracts that I sign are between me and a writer. I would agree with everyone else in the aspect of just it really depends, because usually I like to give most of the creative rights to the writer. I like to retain some of my designs. But yeah, it just depends on my relationship with the writer and the or the company. So yeah, that's overall what I'm look for.
Okay, that's fair. Randy, what are your thoughts?
I've done some contract work with commercial customers that demand that they keep the rights to everything, but I make sure that they know that they pay me for those rights for anything that I created. That's always a good thing. Makes them feel good, makes you feel good, because you got a little something for knowing that you weren't going to be keeping what you were doing. But the big thing with the contracts for me is the readability of it. I'm always more suspicious of if I can read a contract and understand it 100%, as opposed to it being slaughtered with 10 pages of legalese that seem like gobbledygook to you. You know, that's my distrust level goes up the more that I don't understand that sentence and have to consult with a lawyer.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
that's the big thing. That and to make sure there's a contract. So
That helps. Jay, what are your thoughts?
that's a
What is
lesson
work for-
painfully learned from experience. But anyway.
Yes, sir.
Mhm.
When it's work for hire, reprint rights, right? Make sure that I get paid in perpetuity as long as the work keeps getting reprinted. When it's my stuff, like you guys said, media rights, retention rights, stuff like that.
Okay. I've run across a few contracts, and the words that I always look out for are infinitum, across the universe, throughout space and time.
Whoa. Whoa.
Yeah. 'Cause
Okay.
Whatever I see those words, and I've seen them on contracts, I'm like, oh no, can't do business with this person. Yeah. But I've seen words, if not similar things in contracts, and it's just insane. Where I'm just like, it's like I can't even die and get out of this contract. So like, no. I mean, even at that point, most debtors will let you go once you're dead. But I've seen contracts where like, no, it's for all space, for all time, forever, for the length of humanity and in all
That's
space.
insane.
Yeah. But I've seen those contracts. I was just like, what the hell? Why?
Yeah.
I'm like, neither one of us are going to live that long. I'm like, what are you talking about? Yeah. So, Jay, you're up. What's your question?
So based on your question, let me add to that question, right? If there is a term in there that you didn't like, is it enough to put you off? Is that it? Or would you go into the negotiation process and see if you can adjust the contract to your liking?
All right. Chris, you're up.
Oh yeah, there's always got to be a negotiation process with a contract. There's very few contracts that come across the table that you don't have to negotiate something, or at least discuss something. I worked with this this show's about distribution. I actually worked for a distributor for a long time, and we would sign on new clients, and they would have demands. The distributor would have demands, and you've got to go back and forth to figure out what works best. Whether it's percentages, regions that you're distributing to, there's all sorts of different variables in a contract, and both parties, if there's only two parties, sometimes there's 3 and 4 parties. All the parties have to get what they want, but also be willing to give up some for the other party to be successful. Right. So, when we started working on Homebrewed, there's distribution contracts and things. So you've got to be able to protect both parties. I think with any publisher, you always get into that kind of back and forth. This is what I want. So if you don't try to negotiate a contract and just turn one down, I don't think you're doing it right. I signed my first contract that I ever signed was actually with an indie music label, and the rights and everything weren't where we wanted them, and we went back and forth with them a few times. I had insider knowledge, luckily, and the more knowledge you have about a company you're signing with helps. I knew they were getting bought by Sony within a year. I knew that just from other sources. And so one big thing for us was, if you're going to have the rights to our music, we want to make sure that when it does go to worldwide distribution, that not only the rights are protected, but also the monetary value. Because when he came to us, he was pitching as an indie, indie label with indie distribution. And when that changes, where is our contract then? Is our contract voided? Is it, those are things to know, like how long is this contract? What changes, if any changes are made, does it void the contract, or does this contract carry over? Because if something carries over, let's just say you sign with we're talking about comic books. You sign with a publisher who's a small publisher, but then maybe, Boom Comics decides to come in and make them a subsidiary. how does that affect your contract? Do you get a new contract? I think those are all things to think of. A lot of us only think in the moment, and we don't think 5-10 years down the road, and the what ifs. And I think that's something that I always like to negotiate, are the what ifs.
All right, cool. Madeline, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I always try to negotiate if it's an issue, and then if it's not going to work, it's not going to work. I mean, you should always be prepared to walk away.
Mm-hmm.
That because I know it can be very exciting to get a publishing contract. I mean, you can like, oh yeah, I mean it, and it is. You should be excited, but you do have to be prepared for the other shoe to drop. That there are demands, and they may not budge, and you may need to walk away. So I think people do need to be prepared to walk away if negotiations don't work.
Fair enough. Camry, what are your thoughts?
I'm always up for negotiation, especially because I work with a lot of small, like, individuals or writers. Yeah, I mean, I'm always open to talking about the terms, and usually people are really, really cool. In my experience, I haven't really worked with a lot of huge, ginormous companies, so I don't have a lot of experience in that department. But yeah, I in my experience, it's always been really awesome to negotiate with people, and most of the time, the terms are very agreeable. So,
okay, well, that's good. Randy, what are your thoughts?
Well, the more of a boilerplate contract that's tossed at me, the more suspicious I get about that. I'd rather have all the negotiations done first and the contract drawn up afterwards with the points in there that both of us feel are important to have there, so that we're not having to go back and forth with new contracts here or there. That everything's negotiated, done, and then you get the contract, you read through them, have your lawyer read through them, and then sign them. That's the ideal way to do it, I think.
All right, cool.
But yeah, always negotiations, always.
Yes. Yeah, for myself, I mean, I've said this before, is like I read a contract and I usually have a Sharpie sitting next to me while I read it. And I've gone to town on contracts all the time, and I'm like, just it ends up like a CIA case file. It's just like, I just redact as much as I need to redact. But the last contract that was presented, well, the contract for whatever, there was a contract recently presented to me where there was a clause in it that I was just like, no, I'm not signing this. Mm-hmm. And I went back to the individuals, said, listen, this is not acceptable. I won't sign this for this, and this reason. We either talk or we don't. And they were like, all right, well, let's talk. And then, we hashed it out. Everything I settled, and it was fine, and everything was good. It was just a misunderstanding. Mm-hmm. And that was that. And yes, always negotiate, because I remember one time the publisher who gave me that universal thing. And, I was just like, I basically told them, I said, listen, no one from your office is ever to contact me ever again. It's like no one from your office is ever to contact me again. I was like, thank you. And I was just done with them. But yeah, but definitely, and I was young. I was like 28. I didn't really know what I was doing back then. So yeah, but I would definitely suggest negotiating when you can. So Jay, what are your thoughts?
I'm with Randy. If it's the standard boilerplate thing, it's like you don't even fucking care. I'm not gonna bother. I'm not gonna waste my time. We're out of here. Mm-hmm. But if it's something that's built afterwards, okay, we can develop things.
All right, cool. And no, it was not Marvel. It was Byron Preiss Visual. and I don't mind saying that because, I mean, God rest his soul, Byron Preiss is no longer with us.
I'm sorry, what did they do? I don't know.
What do you mean? They did a bunch of stuff. They did novels, they did comic books, they did graphic novels. They an easy one is they were the first people to print Black Set before Dark Horse got it.
Gotcha.
Okay, so that's an easy one if you know comics. Mhm. But they did tons of stuff and with a bunch of people. Talk to Howard Chaykin about it. He'll fill you in.
Oh, I'm sure he's got stories about that. Yeah.
He hated Byron. Yeah, but yeah, it was just kind of funny.
A question about something real quick. Howard Chaykin, is it just me, or is it I'm the only one who thinks that Lewis Black should play him in the movie?
Mm,
I think you answered yourself there.
yeah,
I think Lewis Black is not too angry. I think Lewis Black will have a coronary before it's filming.
I love Howard Chaykin. He's so cool. He's so nice. I like he's Howard Chaykin. You know what I mean? I think Lewis Black can do it perfectly. I'm just putting that out there.
all right, cool. Randy, you got another one for us?
No. No, Danny.
All right, so
I don't know. I come up with that one. I thought that was good.
All right. It's a good thing I came prepared. All right, here's one for you guys. This is
There we go.
What was your last indie purchase and why? Like, what was the last indie book comic that you purchased and why'd you buy it? Right. And I think we were up to Madeline.
Does Kickstarter
Sure.
count?
Yes, for sure.
The last one I just put money down on was Camry's book.
Oh, thank you, Madeline. I super appreciate that.
Nice.
That was easy.
Awesome.
I just went over and boom, there we go.
There you
Aw.
go. All right. Very nice. Very nice. Cameron, you're up. What was your last purchase?
So I just did SquatchCon and I made friends with a lovely gentleman named Warren. And he just got into doing his own comics recently, and SquatchCon was his first con ever. And so he had a comic book called Squirrels Save Longview, which was about an army of squirrels who saved Longview, Washington from an oncoming horde of aliens. And so I had bought that book from him, and it is proudly displayed in my little cabinet full of indie comics. So
Very cool. Nice. Nice. I like that one. All right. I gotta try to find that. Dan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I just went to Staple, the Independent Media Expo, last weekend in Austin.
Where at?
And
Austin.
yeah, in Austin, it's a fantastic show. It's the first convention I ever did as an indie creator. That's where I showed up with 100 books and nothing else. Anyway, I went there and I picked up a stack of books. Unfortunately, they're all downstairs, so I can't show them to you right now. But and I was literally, I went and I was like, I didn't get a table this year, so I just went and supported friends and picked up stuff that was just looked interesting to me. But the one thing that I can confirm that I recently purchased on Instagram, not Instagram, my Kickstarter was Maiden Delco. By Jimmy Gasparo. If y'all know Jimmy, Jimmy's a really great guy. He does stuff with Comic Book Yeti. And his book, I just backed that. And Orson Welles' Warrior Worlds, that just closed here recently. Milton Lawson's book. So I'm really excited about both of those. So, yeah.
All right, cool. Chris, what are your thoughts?
Well, I guess technically it does count as an indie book, but I flew out to LA on Wednesday and picked up Youngblood at Golden Apple Comics.
Nice.
Yeah, the longest one day trip of my life there. That was a lot of fun. So I got I think we counted 12 different variations of that book, but Youngblood was one of my favorite comics as a kid, and so it was exciting. Other than that, I did back DM Ray on Kickstarter with his book recently. And I can't even think. I've backed so many Kickstarters in the past 2 months. I'd have to go through my list. I do a lot of digital only because right now I'm kind of like in between living situations, so I don't have a lot of space nor money. But I do like to support indie comics. So when I see digitals, especially reasonably priced digitals, I like to jump in on those.
All right, cool.
I did just get a copy of Bigfoot Knows Karate from Dan too, so I guess I can put that in there.
There you go. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
There you go.
Did you meet Rob?
Yeah, that was an experience. So it was awesome. he knew who I was because I flew from North Carolina there. I'm in like that Facebook group that he has.
Mhm.
And I was second in line. So I got to see him when he was full of energy. And I got to say, you know, I've met quite a few people in my life, and he was very, very cordial, very nice, was great with everybody that was there. And then he asked me if I was lifting weights on the plane, which was kind of funny to me, and, you know, picked on me a little bit, and we had a great time. So yeah, he was awesome. The guy was cool too.
Can I say something real quick?
Oh yeah.
I just say this man was so excited. He was so happy.
That's
like
nice.
seriously, he sent us photos from the line. It was awesome. I tell
That's
you,
cool.
it was really cool watching. It's like, you know, when you're a fan, that's like the shit. So that was awesome.
It was
Yeah,
so. And I found out that we use the same printer for our comics. So because
There you go.
it just worked out perfectly that Youngblood, you know, was announced this year, and my last Kickstarter, I did a metal cover of a Youngblood #1 homage cover, and I got the medals the day that I was about to fly out. So I got a package in the mail. I'm literally about to head to the airport, and I got them in. So I actually brought him one of those because I had a couple extras that I
Awesome.
had printed, and I brought one of the standard copy for him to sign, and that one. And so I gave him one of the medals, and he signed my copy, and he actually gave me pretty much whatever signature I wanted. If you know him, he has like a whole different types of signatures he does. He did this beautiful signature for me, and then he opens up the metal, and he's like, "Oh, this is metal." And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Where'd you get this?" I'm like, "Ready Comics." He's like, "That's who prints my books." And so we had a little chat back and forth about that. You know, I didn't feel rushed. He told me afterward, like, "Hang out all day. I don't care. I'm going to be here. So do whatever you need to do." And the crew there was great. It was just a really good experience. And as soon as I walked up, his Dave, the guy who was taking all the names and getting your books for you, before I even said my name, Dave was like, "You're Chris, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, Chris Saloff." I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "How do you know?" He's like, "Well, I know you from the group, and I see your name a lot on Whatnot. So, you know, nice to meet you." And
Cool.
you know, when we talk about cons, and I said before, like, you're the face, like that right there will stay with me forever. And, you know, like I said, I bought 12 copies of the book. And so I think that, you know, as a fan, as a kid, I remember meeting Rob as a kid, and it was the same energy from then to now.
Oh, nice.
So it was really cool.
Good.
Nice. Randy, what are you thinking?
My last purchases, I think I don't know if Titan Comics count. I got a lot of the old Conan material, or their Conan material, I should say, Savage Sword and that. The last indie book I bought, probably tomorrow's Kirby Treasury at the show in Kalamazoo. Got a great collection of Seeger early Popeye cartoons from
Nice.
Fantagraphics that had a forward in it by Rick Marshall. So, but yeah, that's been about the most recent purchases.
Okay, cool, fair enough. Mr. Rosario, what do you got?
Well, tonight I purchased Madeline Camry's books. You know,
Look at
so
that.
hey, we're that.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so much.
you.
Those are my Kickstarter books. But I got hooked on this Manifest Destiny thing recently. I'm on chapter 6 of 8, and it was an Image Skybound book, but it's about Lewis and Clark, right? And they take the journal entries of Lewis and Clark, and within it they interweave like supernatural stories. Like, so you got the Bigfoot, you got river monsters, you got, like, you know, Native American mythology and stuff like that. And I've been hooked. I've been hooked on it. You know, it's just, so I can't wait. And when I do laundry, that's when I read trades, because you know they're not collectible, and I'm stuck there for a minute. So I'm looking forward to doing more laundry. I got 2 chapters left.
All right, very nice, very nice. For myself, the last thing that I would say is like substantial is I bought the Southern Nights Omnibus.
Oh, there you go.
And I got it because I'm a big Butch Geist fan, and I'm just looking forward to like rereading some of those, because I don't know if they were the first ones, but I remember back in the 80s they were releasing 8.5 by 11 reprints, and they were like magazine size, and they were square bound. And I think I have don't know if it's four of those or 5 of those, but that's the only place I can find them. I can never find the single issues, and this is the first time I was able to get the whole thing in one set. So
That's
it
cool.
was actually kind of cool. So I'm looking forward to reading that.
Nice.
Yeah. So Jay, it's your turn again.
All right. How many different comic shops have you been to this year? Right. Softball question.
There you go. Nice. Madeline, I think you're up again.
Probably only one, and that was up in Salem, Oregon,
Okay.
because that's where we're moving to.
Nice.
Nice. All right, cool. Camry, what are your thoughts?
We have 2 local comic places here in Port Angeles. I went to Anime Cat recently, but it's not a lot of indie stuff there. Luckily, Drew's really cool, and he has a little section for comic books, indie comic books, and I had talked to him about potentially putting George Smith on the shelf over there. But that's pretty much the only places that I've been to recently.
All right, cool. Dan, what do you?
Half a dozen over the year. Just wherever, I mean, I travel a lot for work, and if there's an opportunity to go check out a store, I will. I was in what was it, in Italy. I even walked into a comic store and just checking it out and looking around, and because I bought a Stephen King book that was translated into Italian. It was a graphic novel. I can't remember what the book was now, but it was a graphic novel, Stephen King graphic novel, translated into Italian. So I'll look around and see, just try and find cool places. I was up in Brooklyn and wait for Brooklyn Comic Con last year, or whenever it was, and got my books in the store in Manhattan real quick. And, just try to go to as many store signings. I've got like 2 or 3 of those this year. So, anytime you can ingratiate yourself, hey, look, Chris has a cat.
He was knocking on the door. I had to go get
Ingratiate
him.
yourself into the comic stores, and get your book seen. I always try and take that opportunity when I can. But hello, Cat. How are you?
I've been gone for a few days, and he gets lonely and sad. So he's been annoying me to pet him, and been banging on my door since I've been in here. So I figured I'd give him some attention for a minute.
Oh,
He'll join. His name is Chamberlain.
Oh,
If you watched Dark Crystal, that's who he's named after. Just so I can yell his name very deeply, like they do.
So Chris, you're always welcome on the show. Okay.
Oh, I appreciate it, man. Thank you. This was fun.
I'm just saying for the cat. What I mean? Cat,
He's happy.
Yeah. So, you have any thought? How many comic shops have you been to this year?
Me?
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, I've been to 3 in Connecticut when I was up there. I've traveled a lot this year. I'm going to say I've probably been in close to about 50 different shops in the past
Nice.
Okay.
maybe 10 months.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, I'm just in the past week, I've been in the past 2 weeks for Comic Book Day. I think we've been in 4 just in the past, like 4 different shops. And then, plus Golden. So that's 5. I've never been to Golden Apple either. So that's 5 new shops.
incredible.
Yeah.
But we're also, with signing with Phil, I've been trying to go to shops all over the place so we can, get some shops to, buy our books and sign on with Phil as a distributor. Because, with Diamond going out like it did, there's going to be a lot of distributors popping up, and I think they're sorry, he really is like very needy. He's a Balinese, and they get attached real easy. And this guy actually did suffer from depression for a little while. I had to bring him to a vet, and they were like, he's just sad. They wanted to put him on depression meds. I had moved out of my old house, and he was living with my ex, and so I brought him home, and he's been fine ever since. But if I'm gone for a few days, he gets real sad. But yeah, we just been hitting up new shops and talking about Crit, talking about Bigfoot, talking about Caspian Porter and Celestial Knight, trying to get people to not just get invested in the books, but us as creators. There's one of my biggest things when I'm talking to comic book shops is talking about the volume that we do. You know, that's one thing that a lot of creators don't take into account. Most indie comics don't get past issue 2. And so when you're at 3, 4, 6, 8, whatever number you're at, you know, that's a big deal for a comic book shop because they see the consistency. And that's what I've been trying to hit home. You know, these shops, they want customers and they want people that are going to promote the books. Well, you know, the writer, let's just say, like, you know, who's ever writing at Marvel isn't going to be showing up at their shop all the time or shouting out their shop. You know, indie creators will, because that's our bread and butter. You know, we're not getting a paycheck, and our dream is to be into a comic book store. So what are we going to do? If you're carrying our books, we're shouting you out on social media, our website, everywhere we go. Hell, you know, you give me a t-shirt, I'll wear it on a show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's just been what I've been trying to do is get homebrewed to be recognized in comic book shops. And so if I'm driving down the road and I see there's a shop somewhere, I'm popping in.
All right, cool.
Me too. Yeah.
Randy, what are your thoughts?
I got 2 main stores that I visit and a couple other ones I keep promising to get to and just hadn't gotten to yet. That's got a local store here, Comic Relief, that's a few miles from my house, and get a few things there. A lot of my comics I get up in Saginaw. I've got a long time friend who's got his own comic shop up there. He's had it for about 30 years. So I go up there and get my comics from him, most of our comics from them. But other than that, whenever we're in a town, especially when we're out traveling, we try to hit it, if not the comic shop, then the local bookstore, just to see what they've got.
All right. Cool enough. Well, Jay, we're in the same town, so you know me. It's Midtown, Forbidden Planet, and but I've also been to the Koch warehouse.
Okay.
And he's still around. He's still there.
Right.
So you know.
Well, I drive, so I go a lot further into New York. You know, besides that, I've been to Red Shirt, I've been to Cool Kids, I've been to Grasshopper, I've been to Midtown got 4 different shops alone.
Yeah.
That's in Brooklyn. I've been to 4 different shops in Jersey, 3 shops in Massachusetts. I was taken back by how many shops are in like the Florida Orlando area, right? Wow, dude, they make, you know, the 5 boroughs of New York look like nothing when it comes to shops. You got one like almost every 10 miles out there. So I went into 6 different shops in that area alone. So I've been around the block, dude. I've been around the block.
It's all the Disney employees. They don't get paid enough to make real toys or big toys, so they buy comics.
I went to one shop that was like super zombie themed, and I was like, I doubt these guys are working at Disney.
You
Dude,
never know.
I can't go back there though, because they saw my wife walking into the shop from the car. And like, is that your mom? I was like, Jesus fucking Christ.
Ooh.
She was like, good thing you told me after you made your purchase, because I wouldn't have let you spend money there.
There you go.
That's
Like, maybe I'm sorry. But I went to this one place.
I said, why does she look like your mom?
No. I was like, what are you guys fucking smoking if you think?
That could explain it.
But I went to this one shop called Blackbird Comics in Maitland, Florida. And, you know, they had a coffee shop inside, and they were letting people play games and stuff like that. And the coffee shop had every coffee themed. One was called Alpha Flight, you know, because it had maple syrup in it.
Cool.
You know, they had a you know, a Batman themed one. I thought it was cute. I thought it was nice. I was like, okay, you know, I'll spend some dough here, man. I'll buy some stuff and just chill out.
There used to be a
Sounds like a
comic
fun
store here in
store.
Austin. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, it sounds like a fun store.
It was nice. It was nice. The one thing I didn't like is they had a small parking lot. They had 10 parking spots, and they had 3 shops in the area. So it was like, you know, certain shops had designated spots, and then the other 4 or 5 were just like free for all, and there was no
Yeah.
street parking. So that was a pain in the butt.
I bet.
Yeah.
It's not
So,
good.
guys, I have to get going because I have a friend I'm meeting up with. But I just wanted to say thank you to everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice
Well,
meeting
Cameron,
you.
Yeah,
Cameron,
good meeting you too.
we're closing up shop as well. So
Okay.
real quick,
Yeah.
before you go, where can they find you and your work?
So my website is CamryLapkaArt.com. I'm on most social media as Kron Kruick. Yeah, you can find me on Facebook, Blue Sky, Instagram, YouTube, all those good places. So yeah.
All right, cool. Camry, it was great meeting you, and you're
Yeah.
always welcome. All right.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you everybody.
Yeah.
You're all super
Have a
cool,
good
and
night.
I'm really glad to have been given this opportunity to be here. So
Nice meeting you.
Your
Yeah.
campaign,
Nice
Camry.
meeting you.
Meeting you.
thank you so much.
All right. Madeline, where can they find you and your work? We made it to
Right now, I'm on Kickstarter with Morgana Pendragon, but otherwise, you can find me on Facebook, X, Instagram, Blue Sky. Just type in Madeline Holly Rosing and things will pop up, or type in Boston Metaphysical Society and that will pop up. And yeah, so I think I've got it about all covered. I'm not on YouTube or TikTok though.
Okay.
I'll save that for the future marketing team.
There you go.
Mhm. All right, Dan, where can they find you and your work?
The best place to find me and the rest of the homebrewed crew would be at homebrewedcomics.com. So check us out there. You can go to that website. On the homepage, you will find links to Crit launching April 30th, Bigfoot Knows Karate launching May 14th, and Celestial Knight versus Caspian Porter launching on June 21st. If you want more information beyond that, go to bigfootknowskarate.com. You can find social media links, our fan art gallery, pages from the book, links to the website, to all the shit. It's all there. It's go buy a shirt. It's there too. So, but right now the big thing to remember is homebrewedcomics.com. So you can go find all those great links. And I'll let Chris say the same thing because he's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, really, homebrewedcomics.com. I'm at the Instagram at homebrewedcomics. That's pretty much my home. But we're actually adding some stuff to the website this week as far as like our appearances and press releases and things like that. So keep up with us there. And, the link for the Kickstarter is right there. So go, if you just type in homebrewedcomics.com, it takes you to all 3 links. They're right there on the homepage. So you can, follow all 3 books that we're launching this quarter, and you can keep up with the books we're going to be launching on 4th quarter.
All right, cool. Randy, where can they find you and your work, sir?
You can find me at Barnes & Noble and Amazon. Just look up Randy Zimmerman. You can find the Atlantean there. The first volume is available in great paperback, or you can find the Shadow Kingdom, which is our adaptation of Robert E. Howard's classic story that I broke down that Russ Leach did the artwork for. That's available in black and white in a nice trade paperback form, or in hardback in full color with the actual prose story in the back for you to compare the comic adaptation to. Other than that, I do 2 podcasts a week, one Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern, Sunday Funnies, and another one on Friday morning at 5 a.m. Eastern time called Comics by Night, where we look at great old comics and just talk, do our best to talk positive about this industry and this fantastic art form that we're in and we love so much. So please check us out.
Jay, where can they find you and your work, sir?
Unstoppablecomics.com. You can find all my social media links and what's coming up over there on that website. Friday night, you can catch me on Comic Book Streamland, 8 p.m. Eastern. If anybody wants to jump on, you're welcome. Doors always open. And then on Sundays, with this knucklehead over here.
Randy, sorry, you're a knucklehead.
Well, my head pointed this way.
I've been called worse.
I got it right. I did it the correct side. Come on.
All right. So, you can find me on the OswaldChronicles.com, TallTalesOnline.com, Kickstarter most times. Currently for Tenchi Muyu, Oswald will be returning sometime next 2 or 3 weeks on Kickstarter. But I am going to launch an Indiegogo probably another 2 or 3 days. So that should be interesting. Pray for me. So, and just remember, everybody, in the show notes, check them. Everybody's links are in those show notes to all these creators. All of them are doing fantastic books. All of them are doing great books. Okay, so please click on those links, pick up some books, because these creators deserve your support. And just remember, read more indie comics, especially ours. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank
Night.
you.